I was walking quickly to get to Birdman, but right behind Birdman was Jim Jones. I'm walking mad quickly, but I ain't gonna lie to you. I think the way Jim seen it was like I'm walking up on him. I swear. Birdman, then I see Jim Jones. And I'm like, oh shit, Jim, what up? Now, Jim, what up back at me is a different type of what up. He's like, nigga, what up? And I'm like, whoa. I'm gonna give Jim his credit. Jim was the oldest YN in the building, but he was on YN timing. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I go over to say, yo, Jim, we gotta get up and we gotta go do the interview. That's what I'm like, we gotta go do the interview. I don't know if it's because Young Boy was on stage. Jim Jones turned to a YN on me. Jim Jones was like, yo, hold on, let me holler at you, man. Let me holler at you. Jim is like, yo, listen, man. I gotta talk to you. I'm like, all right, what up, what's good? He kept asking questions like, yo, do y'all think the shit y'all do online is cool? So I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm kind of confused, honestly. I'm legit confused. I didn't get too much info out of him, but he mentioned 6ix9ine. He said, whatever 6ix9ine. Then he's like, yo, y'all gotta know, yo, it ain't safe when niggas is playing with me like that. And I'm thinking about, I'm like, what the fuck do I? So I kept trying to ask him, I said, what me and 6ix9ine gotta do with you? Or what I gotta do with if you and 6ix9ine got something? Rappers are the best that if they can't find the person they don't like, someone else inherits. So it's like Dave Free seeing me and Dave Free saying, yo, well, I'll never see Drake ever in life, so let me tell you why I'm mad at Drake. Okay, cool. Think I'm like, yo, is he mad at, how is he mad at 6ix9ine and coming at me? Y'all two were 9 Trey Bloods. I was never a 9 Trey Blood, and I don't want to be one.
Since their confrontation, DJ Akademiks has been acting as though he wants some form of retaliation against Jim Jones, even if he hasn't explicitly stated it. In his recent live streams, Akademiks repeatedly calls Jim Jones a bozo, even mocking him as an old New York 18-year citizen, which was a shocking claim to hear. It truly seems like Akademiks is still upset about being approached at that NBA YoungBoy show, especially because the crew he arrived with failed to support him when the situation became tense. From an outside perspective, it appeared that Jim Jones had the opportunity to escalate the situation that night in Brooklyn without any trouble. People even joked, saying things like, Jim, multiple Timberlands could have landed on your face, champ. Akademiks genuinely seemed embarrassed that none of his associates backed him up. The crucial question now is this: is Akademiks even safe publicly criticizing Jim Jones when they both reside in New Jersey? Akademiks has been online, for some reason, acting as if he is ready for conflict with Jim, despite Jim having already confronted him approximately a month ago at the same NBA YoungBoy concert. Why is Akademiks still instigating trouble with someone who already confronted him face to face? To me, it feels like deep down Akademiks has never recovered from that incident, and it continues to bother him to this day. Akademiks looks like he is still shaken by the whole encounter with Jim Jones. The experience has clearly remained on his mind. The way he speaks about the situation reveals that it truly impacted him. Jim Jones essentially told him directly, if I wanted something to go left, it could have gone left. Akademiks has been carrying that burden ever since. He even mentioned it on his stream and later on Vlad TV, but it was on his stream where he truly slipped up, acting confused and pretending not to understand why the situation began. Yet, deep down, he remembers every second of that moment, and it still heavily bothers him. He clearly desires some type of payback now, so he is trying to use any angle that makes him appear bold, such as calling Jim Jones a grown man going through a second childhood. This is the same criticism certain fans have leveled at Jim since he attempted to compare his musical catalog to Nas's. People criticize Jim heavily for that comparison, arguing he was disrespecting Nas's legacy and overreaching. Furthermore, the news of Max B coming home reopened an entirely different wound. Everyone knows Max and Jim Jones had tension over an old Bird Gang contract that Max completely rejected. Max B even publicly claimed he had been with Jim's girlfriend, Chrissy, which turned that whole situation into a separate controversy. Akademiks sees all of this unfolding again and is trying to position himself right in the middle of the drama, as if it is his chance to intervene. Max B had claimed he slept with Jim's girl, Chrissy, and that she touched it in Miami, all the wild talk he was throwing around back then. He even threatened to harm Jim's son, who was literally just a young kid in 2008. This elevated the messiness of the situation to a new level. Max B dropped a track called Pootie, and the situation quickly turned ugly. Max and Jim remained at odds for years until Max settled the beef while incarcerated. But even now, the tension within the culture is still noticeable. These days, it seems everyone is quick to side with whoever opposes Jim Jones, except for Akademiks, and that is the root of his problem. Akademiks is in a position where, even when he tries to win, his own choices cause him to lose. You cannot do what he did recently, speaking inappropriately to a 5-year-old boy on a stream, and expect people to rally behind you afterward. That instantly made people view him with skepticism. He has already alienated many people, and he is only making it worse with every new outburst. Therefore, even if he tries to team up with Jim Jones in some unexpected alliance, people might still lean toward Jim over him because Akademiks has burned too many bridges. When it comes to Akademiks, 6ix9ine, and Whack 100, people choose their sides very carefully, and Akademiks is the one most people do not want to stand behind right now. Akademiks has now taken the disrespect to a whole new level, calling Jim Jones a rat and piling on all these extra labels as if he is trying to score points online. But the real question remains, where was that same energy when he saw Jim Jones in person? He did not say a single one of these things to Jim's face. He stood there calm, polite, and made sure he did not leave that venue bruised up, like Ja Rule did after that incident at the Brandy show in Brooklyn. If that moment at the NBA Youngboy concert had gone even slightly wrong, Akademiks could have suffered the exact same treatment. He knows Jim Jones has a serious history in that same area. So, why is Akademiks suddenly shouting and talking so wildly now? Because it sounds like that privilege hit his system, and by privilege, I mean straight Hennessy. The liquid courage kicked in, and now he is online talking recklessly about Jim, as if he has forgotten how their first encounter went. Akademiks hopped on his stream acting bold, telling Jim he is old, saying he needs to wisen up, and claiming that at almost 50, he shouldn't be moving the way he does. He is basically trying to lecture Jim Jones on how to behave when, in reality, he had none of this aggression when they were standing face to face. Now, he is online, charged up, shouting into the mic and telling Jim off, as if he has suddenly become the tough guy in the conversation.
Are New York City gentlemen in their 40s and 50s having, I won't even call it a midlife crisis, but they're literally having this almost stunted development? All the 50-year-old men who were gangsters and cool dudes back in the day seem to have the most childish ideals. They're all dressing like they're YNs, acting as if they are children, and they're still playing the same childish games as if they were 14 and 15. Now, Jim Jones, who we all know, he is what we call a senior citizen. We just have to be honest. Jim Jones is someone living out a fifth childhood, and it's okay. I don't necessarily mind the drip. I just would hope he would use some Beijing, because I think the gray hair peppered around the tight jeans and muscle shirts throws me off. That's it. Other than that, I like Jim Jones, not only for his music. I like the fact that Jim Jones is showing that no matter how old you are, he's always fit in shape. And even though he might need to work out the legs, he's in the gym all the time, obviously, right? And I actually do like that, right? Now, one person I thought wouldn't be added to this list is Fabulous. Now, Fabulous is one of those guys, I've always said I've listened to Fabulous music for over 10 years, and I don't know one thing about this. He got all the punchlines, for everything. But I've never thought his music was a great reflection of giving me an insight into his world, and maybe I've just listened differently than other people. But Fabulous is also one of those people that when I see him on Instagram, I kind of be like, yo, is he trying to dress like a YN too? I can't tell. Now, I like Fabulous. You know what I mean? Fabulous is always at a point in New York City history, he was to me, the coolest guy. He was always seen as the coolest guy from New York, right? However, I just want to, let me see, how old is Fabulous? Fabulous is 48 years old. These days when I'm seeing Fabulous, by the way, there's nothing wrong with trying to dress well, but at certain points, I'm like, is Fab serious? I can't really tell. And I don't want
While some people may laugh at Akademiks' jokes, and those who already dislike Jim Jones will agree with his sentiments, they still do not approve of Akademiks being the one delivering the criticism. That is the core issue. Akademiks keeps trying to win, but every time he makes an effort, he ends up looking even more like he's losing. He is attempting to align himself with the safe crowd that remains anti-Jim Jones, and, indeed, many people have been against Jim Jones for years, ever since the situation with True Life back then. Certain individuals stopped taking Jim seriously, especially after the Rucker Park incident. Things grew even more complicated when the RICO cases began, and the wiretap phone call with Mel Matrix went viral. People immediately jumped to conclusions, claiming Jim Jones was involved in something unethical, when in reality, nothing in that call proved any such claims. The internet simply sensationalized the content because they lacked the full context. Then, 6ix9ine, Ine ran around online, trying to paint Jim as a rat, which only made the public narrative uglier. With all these rumors still circulating, Jim Jones was already fed up. That is why he confronted Akademiks the moment he saw him in person. Jim Jones was tired of his name being dragged through the mud, and Akademiks continuously provided a platform for people who were speaking disrespectfully about him. Now, Akademiks is shocked that Jim Jones retaliated, yet Akademiks is the one promoting all these voices and stirring up the chaos, acting as if he did not anticipate this response. When one of these people finally fires back, Akademiks attempts to pretend he had nothing to do with it. But that is not how this works. He is guilty by association because he is the one giving the platform for all the disrespect to spread. He cannot claim his hands are clean when he is literally broadcasting the whole thing to the world. Now, he wants to speak aggressively about Jim Jones, even though he wasn't talking like that when they were face to face. When Jim Jones confronted him, Akademiks was trying to find some middle ground so he could leave the Barclays Center without getting into trouble. He made sure he remained respectful because he did not want to leave that building injured. That is the truth. But now that he is home, comfortable, and safe behind the microphone, he is suddenly calling Jim Jones a bozo and a loser, acting as if he has been bold the entire time. If that is how he really felt, why didn't he say it right then and there, champ? He did not feel secure enough to speak that way in person. And that is precisely why he is being so vocal online instead. What makes it even crazier is that both of them live in New Jersey. Jim Jones has a residence in Jersey, and Akademiks has a residence in Jersey, so they are not worlds apart. With them living so close, nothing is stopping another run-in from happening again, and that is the part Akademiks should really be considering. Let's be honest, Akademiks knows all of this can spin back on him at any moment. That is why he keeps trying to push the narrative of, I'm just reacting, as if it protects him. But people see right through that. When you keep throwing out disrespect, promoting controversial clips, and adding your own sly comments, you are part of the chaos whether you admit it or not. You cannot play innocent while pouring gasoline on the situation. The fundamental difference is that Jim Jones comes from a world where your words truly matter, while Akademiks comes from a world where everything is just content. That is where the real clash lies. Jim Jones takes disrespect personally, while Akademiks treats it like entertainment that he can turn on and off whenever he feels like it. The problem is that not everyone involved in these situations views it as a joke or simple clickbait. Now, Akademiks is acting surprised that Jim Jones keeps circling back to him. But what did he expect? He has been calling Jim Jones old, washed up, lame, and everything else under the sun. Now he wants to pretend he doesn't understand why Jim Jones is angry. Since both of them live in Jersey, this is not some distant online beef. It is close enough that they could both end up at the same location without warning. Akademiks needs to decide if he is truly ready to stand by all this talk or if he is going to fold the second Jim Jones confronts him again. Because one thing about Jim Jones is that he is not interested in internet back and forth. He is interested in real-life conversations. That is something Akademiks keeps forgetting every time he turns that mic on. Right now, things could get truly messy for Akademiks, especially after Meek Mill invited him to the Meek and Friends Fest in Philly. If Akademiks had actually shown up, it could have escalated quickly because a lot of people who work together in that area are already looking at him sideways. Frankly, it feels like Akademiks might be walking into a situation he doesn't fully grasp. He might be in deeper trouble than he even realizes. Yes, he is friendly with certain artists who have connections, but Akademiks himself does not come from that world, and he has been platforming many stories that conflict with what some people stand for. When you keep putting out narratives that damage people's reputations or interfere with their real-life image, Eventually, someone is going to be upset about it, and once that happens, there can be consequences. That is simply the truth.